All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday on yourcentralvalley.com, whether it be on our website or on our app. You all are welcome. So, of course, we are following the developments surrounding golf legend Tiger Woods after that horrific rollover crash near Los Angeles. Now, the world really just held its breath as it awaited news of his condition, but we'll touch more on that in a bit. However, today we have learned that the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department says Tiger Woods was not drunk during the crash and that it was purely an accident. So because of this, at this time, there is no charges will be filed against him. You can see video of the crash on your screen right now, but no doubt there are a lot of questions that are being raised surrounding this. But just to talk more about the medical aspect of this incident. Joining us now live is Dr. Jason Davis, who is a co-director of the orthopedic trauma at Community Regional Medical Center. Doctor, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Good afternoon, my pleasure.
All right, so just to summarize Tiger's injuries, we know that Tiger had three major injuries to his right lower leg. First, the tibia and fibula were fractured, and we know that was surgically repaired. He also had multiple fractures to his right foot and ankle, and we know that that was surgically repaired as well. But perhaps the biggest injury he suffered was something called compartment syndrome. Can you just explain why timing is so important for this kind of injury?
Yeah, compartment syndrome can be quite dangerous. The compartments or the muscles of the lower leg are sort of enveloped in a tight fascial layer that's watertight. This fascial layer really doesn't stretch. So in the setting of a muscle injury, there'll be swelling, increase in pressure. That increase in pressure can then stop blood flow to the area, to the muscles, and can lead to muscle damage, death, and even damage to the nerves. So if that's not addressed soon, he can have long-term functional deficits.
Right, yeah, and we're talking about Tiger Woods, who is a 15-time major champion, winner of a record-tying 82 PGA Tour tournaments. Of course, we all just want to see him return back to the course, but just taking a step back, do you think it's even possible for him to start walking soon?
I'd say best case scenario, maybe return to walking in 4 to 6 months, and that's optimistic. It could take as long as a year, depending on the full extent of his injuries, which I'm not fully aware of exactly what's going on, but that's my guess.
Right, and on top of this, he kept referring to some back problems that he had, especially when he was participating in these tournaments. Because of this, because of his problems with his back, do you think this will delay his recovery process?
Oh yeah, it's just a multiple hit phenomenon. I mean, the back and the knee were enough and really hampered his career. Now with this lower extremity injury, potentially a compartment syndrome, and who knows the extent of the muscle and soft tissue damage. We'll see. I really hope he comes back, but I think it's unlikely.
Yeah, and we're all hoping for the best at this point. And today, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Deputy Carlos Gonzalez, who was the first responder on the scene to greet Tiger, he described Tiger's condition after the crash as calm. And so for someone who faces a car accident like this, is that sort of the normal response they get? Because I would think if I was in a car accident, I'd be screaming and kicking, and just because of all the pain.
No, for sure. There's a couple different sides of the spectrum. I think people engage in what's called the fight or flight response, and you get the surge of adrenaline. Oftentimes it can result in intense focus, which it sounds like what he had, and being the type of competitor that he is and very strong mentally, I'm sure he was very, very, very focused. That intense pain probably didn't hit later until he was at the hospital and definitely after surgery.
So with the amount of injuries he sustained, what's the normal time frame for his recovery process for a patient in with his injuries?
For similar patients, I tell them at least a year before you feel somewhat normal, but it's going to be a new version of normal for him.
Right.
That normal might include swelling, stiffness, frequent pain and aches, and a lot of physical therapy. So I'd say at least a year. We'll see.
Yeah, and this is, again, going to be an ongoing thing, right? This is going to be a part of his lifestyle. Is pain going to be a normal routine in his day-to-day life after he gets out?
Yeah, and from what I've heard, he was in a lot of pain prior, and he's definitely a trooper. If anybody could make it through the intense physical therapy to get back to walking, to get back to active lifestyle, it would be him. But to compete at the level that he's used to, I'm not sure. It's gonna be tough.
Right. Well, Doctor, thank you so much for your time today. You're always welcome on the show, and thank you so much for this insight regarding arguably one of the greatest players of all time. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so as we are following this developing story, just some of the information that we have learned today. The reason why he was in Los Angeles apparently was he made an appearance but did not play over the weekend at the Genesis Invitational at Riviera Country Club in the Pacific Palisades. Now, his foundation helps organize and host the tournament, and Woods remain in the LA area to film outtakes and scenes for the Discovery-owned Golf TV, which is a streaming entity in which he was involved in. So, in a statement released earlier today, Golf TV said that Woods was filming on course instruction for that series, and that's why he was in the area at that time. Again, we have also learned that no charges will be filed against him because the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department ruled it as purely an accident. So we'll continue to follow this developing story as it happens, and you can always view that on our website, yourcentralvalley.com, and stay tuned for that. Have a great